Another thing that I will absolutely can again are pears. Oh my goodness, canning your own pears. You can't go back after you can produce that you have either, it tastes just like the commercial. Hi everyone, I'm so excited to share today's video, what I will and won't can again for the canning 2020 season. But just to let you know who I am, my name's Cassandra, and on this channel I am here to inspire you to create something useful, capture the beauty of everyday life, and to cultivate self-care routines. So if that type of content interests you, and if you'd like to follow my canning journey for the upcoming season, definitely be sure to click subscribe and thumbs up this video. All right, let's hop right in. I'm going to reply to a question that was raised by the channel Linda's Pantry almost 2 years ago, in which she presented the question to a number of canners: what will you can and not can again? And I absolutely loved watching all of the videos that were archived under this question, because these are the videos that really got me started with canning. Just some background, I started canning last year and absolutely fell in love with the craft, the usefulness, the flavors, the taste that you can just capture, the process of canning. I dug my heels in, and as you can see from my back kitchen counter, I canned a number of items based off of the recommendations that I was seeing from various channels. So Sutton Stays, The Needy Homesteader, Linda's Pantry, Rain Country. There are too many to name. But one of the things that I started to be reflective about as I start preparing to can for the 2020 season is looking at the inventory of all of the items that I canned last year. And while many things were very effective and I absolutely will can again, there were things that I know that I had high hopes for, but they just didn't turn out. While there were other items that I wish that I had canned more of. So what I'm really excited to do in this video is to create an archive, not only for myself, of things that I will can again this upcoming season. But when I think about the inventory that I'm creating for the upcoming year, knowing where I need to shift in terms of ratio, different items that I want to can again. And as I said, these videos were so helpful in their descriptions of why they preferred these items and other items that they wouldn't can again. So stay posted over the next couple of minutes and I'll share with you my thoughts on the items that I canned last year. Let's go ahead and first start with your meat proteins. One of the things that I know that I will not can again is ground beef. This is really unfortunate because I had high hopes for ground beef. I mean, it would have been so easy just to have ground beef that's already cooked and ready to throw into a spaghetti or a lasagna or soups ready to go. I wouldn't have to worry about defrosting, any of that. But unfortunately, I canned about 4 quarts of ground beef. I certainly, if I didn't like it, I didn't want to sink too many, or a lot of my funds into that. Unfortunately, when I canned ground beef, it did not turn out as I expected. And one of the major contributing factors to this was texture. The taste was there. Now, what I had done is I processed probably about 8 quarts of ground beef, and I had some ground beef that I didn't add any seasoning to, and then I had about 4 quarts where I did add just a tinge of oregano and herbs, nothing that was going to overpower it or become stronger as the meat curated in the jars. And although the flavor was there, for me, ground beef didn't carry over in terms of texture. It becomes when I watched other video responses, I forget who said this, but it becomes almost the texture of like cat food. It doesn't have, ground beef still has a kind of like a chew to it with the teeth, and it was just way too soft. And I thought about how I could repurpose it, but it's very difficult because it doesn't have the individual, it's not like the curds, for lack of a better kind of term for it, that when ground beef, when you kind of crumble it, it doesn't fall into a crumble. It literally turns into a mush consistency. And so for me, unfortunately, ground beef isn't something that I can again. However, I wanted to remain persistent because one of the things when I think about my overall food storage inventory and having food that's available outside of refrigeration is I have found that dehydrated ground beef is really good. And so I think that's what I will do. I will not can ground beef, but I absolutely will dehydrate ground beef. One of the great things about dehydrating ground beef is that when it reconstitutes, it does have kind of like that chew that you need, and it's very passable. I have successfully made spaghetti with dehydrated ground beef. You cannot discern any difference, and so while I won't can ground beef, I will absolutely dehydrate it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to pork. I did can some pork shoulder. And pork has been amazing. So one of the tips that I learned from Sutton's Days, she calls herself an ingredient canner. And when I was watching her videos, I was tempted to go ahead and make this into barbecue pulled pork. But I thought a lot about what she shared in terms of, and also the way that I cook, is I don't want to be locked or stuck into only having this particular flavor in a jar that I have to use. I want to be able to have the creativity to make whatever I want to, and so I really just want to work with the raw ingredients. And pork shoulder has been amazing. I love adding this to tacos, pulled pork tacos, or soups, or just like even on its own, it's like a barbecue pulled pork sandwich. It's so good. Again, pulled pork already has it's very moist. It retains its texture. It's so great. Pulled pork shoulder, I will definitely be canning again. One of the things that I'm so glad that I did is on each of my jars, I put the date and then the price that I paid. So I actually paid 99 cents a pound for this. So this will be helpful for me this year, which is this very strange year with all the recent events, to kind of know when it's a good price point for me to purchase additional items. But pulled pork, oh my goodness, yeah, I'm definitely gonna can this again. All right, so another thing from Sutton's Days, if you ever watch this video, please know that I appreciate your videos so much. But one of the things she talks about is canning ugly chicken, and I couldn't agree more. At the beginning of my canning journey, I was wondering about canning meat proteins in general, but I'm so glad that I gave it a go because canned chicken breast worked out so well. Not only do you have the amazing flavor from the juice here, so what I'll do is, for example, if I want to use the canned chicken breast, which works excellent for like a chicken salad. I mean, this is an excellent weekday lunch that I would make for my husband and I. While I do have a recipe that kind of mimics for chicken salad, that mimics Panera's Napa Almond Valley chicken salad, there's some, that's a weekend recipe, but lunchtime or weekday lunch meals, I need something that's quick, that's fast. And so being able to take a can of chicken breast, add some mayonnaise, add pepper, a little bit of salt, green onion, regular onion, whatever, celery that I have on hand, stir that around and be done. This is such a lifesaver. It also works really well in soups or stews, chicken and dumplings. The breast, even though it is a bit more expensive, retains, again, its texture. It's super moist. It's so good. And it's so easy. Sometimes the thing that holds us up in meal prep is cooking the protein, and it's no longer an issue once you already have shelf-stable chicken. So I really enjoyed having chicken breast on hand that was ready to go. This is the perfect grab and go thing to have on hand. All right, another protein that I will can again this year is diced ham. Oh my goodness, diced ham is excellent. It's very similar to the way that canned chicken cans. It retains its texture. Again, it's very moist and flavorful. One of the things that I will recommend and do this year is to add some of the ham bone broth. I need to incorporate at least 50% of the ham bone broth with water into the jar. And that's because in the canned ham that I canned just in water, it didn't have as much flavor inside of it, and that makes sense. Water kind of pulls out all of the flavor. So with the caveat of making sure that I can the ham chunks in the actual ham broth, I will absolutely canned ham again. It's great for a ham salad, ham sandwiches, ham and bean soup. It's absolutely excellent. Let me go ahead and circle back to the point that I made earlier. The reason why I didn't can the ham in the ham broth is that I was thinking, again, in terms of different ingredients that I wanted to have on hand. So I was canning just ham chunks, and then I had just cans of canned ham, or of ham bone broth. So yeah, but aside from, again, just revising the fact that I will add some of the broth to the canned ham, absolutely. It's so easy. It's a no-brainer not to have canned ham. I mean, you can throw it in with scrambled eggs in the morning for an omelet. Canned ham is amazing, and the best time to get it is right after the holiday season. So I was canning ham right after Christmas, canning it again right after Easter, and then whenever you can just find it on sale. Another thing that I will absolutely can again are pears. Oh my goodness, canning your own pears is life-changing. I was able to add cinnamon and a touch of vanilla to the juice, and so, oh my goodness, that's so delicious. And then what I'll do is I'll take the juice from the pears and I'll incorporate that into my homemade kombucha flavors. But oh my goodness, canning your own pears is life-changing because they're not flavorless. They're so good. I cannot recommend these enough. They are on par with, and I'll segue into talking about peaches, canned peaches. Oh my goodness, these again are so good. When my family came to visit, I had to keep my jars of pears and peaches away from them. Canned peaches, again, they water bath so perfectly. They're still, the texture translates. They're good for raw eating and baked goods such as cobblers and pies. Oh my goodness, they're so good. They're better than store-bought. It will be, so the crazy thing is that my husband and I started doing like real-time taste tests, like side by side. So I would have him eat a spoonful of canned corn and then the corn that I canned, and the same with like store-bought peaches and home canned peaches. You can't go back after you can produce that you have either grown from your own garden or collected at a high quality distributor like a farmer's market, which is where I got the pears and the peaches. And oh my goodness, I will be canning tons of peaches this year. All right, so another thing that I am going to can again this year are figs. And in a lot of the video responses to this, I didn't hear too many people talk about canning figs. What I appreciate about canning figs is that, one, figs in my area, I'm in the DMV area, are not cheap. I was able to get these for $4.99 a quart. And how many do I have in here? Maybe I have about 8 or so in here. But figs are amazing if you are someone that's into fig preserve jams. So my dad has this wonderful recipe that he was passed down to him from his mom, and it's strawberry fig preserves. Oh my goodness, it's so good. And so already having these canned figs on hand is just so helpful, because fig prices can shoot up so significant, as much as like $10 a quart. And so buying them in season from the farmer's market that I know and trust was definitely a good call last year, and I will be canning these again. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and include tomatoes in this discussion because they technically are a fruit. I loved canning tomatoes. What can't you use tomatoes for? So what I did last year is you can probably see that I have, oh my goodness, I think it's 15 pounds of tomatoes back there. I purchased that box at the farmer's market for $15. Incredible buy. Tomatoes are so great. They can up so well. So I'm going to make spaghetti sauce, tomato juice, diced tomatoes, and pretty much again, I leave them as the raw ingredients because then I can mix and match, whatever I need them to end up being as for different recipes. But you cannot go wrong with having tons of tomatoes just because they work well as a stock, as a juice, as a sauce, and as a broth. So I will definitely be adding tons of tomatoes to my canned pantry. All right, so now let's move into fruits that I will and won't can again. One of the fruits that I'm still kind of on the fence about is pineapple. So I'm so glad that I canned them in these half pint containers. And canned pineapple is amazing. It tastes just like the commercial canned corn in terms of the texture. So there's still a lot of like bite that's to it. The pineapple juice is amazing. And I really enjoyed it. But canned pineapple takes a lot of work. And I'm not sure if this is just because I think I watched a video by Needy Homesteader and she and her husband had a specific tool that they were using to can the pineapple. But at this point last year, I think I had brought like 3 pineapples. They were $1.99 for one, which is a good sale price in my area. But I just don't know because, oh my goodness, like peeling that pineapple was a lot of work. But aside from that, absolutely, I would can pineapple again. It's been so great to have on hand. All right, so we're gonna keep things moving. This was the applesauce that I canned. Homemade applesauce is so good. I actually made this in the crock pot and I had 2 versions. I did a smooth blend and then I did a chunkier blend. Both came out fantastic. So I will absolutely be making my own applesauce again. What I found very interesting is that in homemade applesauce, you don't need a whole lot of sugar for it to turn out sweet. So I loved being able to make my own applesauce, give it as gifts to folks. They really appreciated the flavor. And it's just so quick. Sometimes when you want a dessert or to even add it as a side for dinner or in the morning or just a snack, having applesauce on hand is excellent. All right, so I did can a few quarts of asparagus, and I will be canning asparagus again. Let me see here. Okay, so I don't have the price on this one. I'm not sure how much I paid. Everything that I canned, I got it on sale when it was actually in season. And this is so great. I love the taste of asparagus, and anything that I don't have to put in my freezer that I enjoy as a vegetable, I definitely want to make sure that I can. So the asparagus, again, it's just a quick meal. I remember adding this to, there's a pasta recipe that I make that calls for asparagus. And so already having it like cooked and ready to go is so great. It is soft, but I think I actually sometimes appreciate that about asparagus because unless it's grilled or you're eating it during the summer and you kind of want that like crisp taste, it kind of reminds me of like the string bean consistency, but the flavor is still there of asparagus. So if you're using this in a pasta or in a casserole, having this asparagus on hand is definitely something that I will keep as a pantry staple. I love mushrooms. I just love them. They are my favorite pizza topping, and I love adding them to any and everything ever. And so I was so impressed at the way that canned mushrooms turned out. So I got these for, let's see, $1.25 for an 8 ounce. And let me tell you, I actually canned these in French onion soup, which was the box mix that I used, and they turned out so good. I use these for pizza toppings. I'm adding these in casseroles and rice dishes. I mean, you can eat these right out of the jar and they taste so good. So I will definitely be canning mushrooms again. This is a huge cost saver. And cream of mushroom soup. I mean, if you love mushrooms, you'll love canned mushrooms. Just saying. Okay, so I forgot to add this when I was talking about my canned proteins. I also canned bacon and canned sausage, but I didn't can a lot of it because I prefer to freeze those items. And what I will say is I really liked having the canned sausage on hand. We don't eat tons of sausage around here, and so most of the time when I get it, we're eating it within the next month or two. But when I did prepare the canned sausage as a sausage gravy or scrambled it alongside eggs, it turned out really well, and I'll definitely can it again. It's just a matter of quantity for me. And also with canned bacon, I liked canned bacon as an easy substitute for bacon bits. Adding it to a salad, like a lettuce salad or an egg salad, taking it to work and having it as a topping. So it definitely worked out. Canning bacon is very temperamental. It's a pretty exact science, or maybe it's for someone who's been canning for a number of years. So I will say that. So right now I'm still freezing most of my bacon. And as soon as, well, I don't know if meat prices are going to stabilize again, but it would be something that I would can again in the future, but probably just not for this season right now. All right, another thing that I'm canning tons of, and I'm so glad that I did, are green beans. So I purchased these green beans for 99 cents a pound, which is amazing. And these green beans are so great. Green beans are great in soups and in casseroles and as a side dish all on their own. And having green beans that were grown organically and sourced locally was so great to have on hand. I loved having green beans, not only because I love them as a vegetable, but they're so easy to pair with any meal that you have on hand. Why wouldn't you can these? I did canned whole green beans, I canned cut green beans, and they're so delicious. One of the last things that I forgot to mention were my broths, and I absolutely loved making my own chicken and ham broth. I went through all of my chicken broths, so I currently don't have any. I do have quite a few carcasses that are in the freezer that I need to go ahead and just go ahead and create lots of chicken broth here. So I'll be doing that in the next couple of days. But I do have some of my ham broth. Oh my goodness, it's so good. I mean, once you make these items, it's difficult to justify when you go to the store paying the price off of something that you can make yourself that isn't costing you additional money. And there's the flavor component that's, not there in the store-bought stuff. So those are, I believe that's everything that I canned last year, almost everything. Oh, I did can blueberries. I will can blueberries again, not a huge quantity. I think that they'd be great in smoothies just because they end up so soft. In smoothies, in pancakes. I'm not gonna make jams out of them because I'm not a blueberry kind of jam fanatic. There's another thing I was thinking blueberries would be really good for. So I'll can a few quarts of those. But I'm super excited about this upcoming canning season. So definitely subscribe to my channel if you would like to follow along with my journey for the 2020 canning season. I will see you soon. Bye. Tag to Thor. I'm trying to film a video right now. I know. I will walk you right after we're finished, okay? I need like 10 minutes. 10 minutes, okay? Thank you.